Welcome everyone to Life and Giants. Here we're going to be talking about being ridiculous because let's be honest, this entire process is ridiculous in and of itself. So you're at the right place. I am Dino the Genetic Marvel, as you can see below, and with me as always is my close friend and co-host Cole Clayton. So I thought you would like that quote that I used today because I know it was my week. So when in doubt, be ridiculous. I feel like that embraces so much of your character. Not I'm trying to be ridiculous, but I'm too anal retentive and stubborn. And I'm like, no, don't want to be ridiculous. I just want to be serious. And it doesn't work for me.
Believe it or not, I'm pretty anal retentive too. A lot of people don't realize it, but like I'm a sneak, like I don't know, like I don't what is even a word like high strung. I'm sneakily high strung.
Yes, you are. But you hide it very well. So you come off as like everything's cool, man. No problem. Just relax. Whereas I come off, if you don't do what I say, I will kill you. Which I'm like, I don't. This is the thing is even I remember getting into an argument with Victoria, and she was like, she's like, well, I was afraid to tell you. I'm like, oh, because of all those times I beat you up, and she's like, no. I'm like, yeah. What are you afraid of? What are you talking about? You are ridiculous in your own way. I'm ridiculous in more than my way. I'm ridiculous in other people's ways too. So that's a fair point, Victoria. That's why I try and I think people assume because of my murder face that I'm always serious. But then I'm like, I'm really good. Hey, what's up, Nick Tucker?
What's up, Nick?
How you doing, brother? That like because I have super serious face, right? And my beard says like I'll cut you. But when you have a conversation with me, I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, no problem. Like I'm like, I don't because I don't know. Can you tell me? Do I look like I'm going to be a pain in the ass?
No, like I don't know, but I'm not a good judge of character as far as like looking at people. If you haven't listened to every single one of my stories over the years.
Yeah, touche. Yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah. I mean, it's just like people assume that like especially when I was fat, people were like, you're not a nice person. I'm like, that's true, but like why do you know that? I want to because like I think I'm good at reading people. Because I called you out for being full of shit. Because you're like, you're not relaxed. You're and you're like, yeah, I am. I'm like, no, you're not. And you're like, yeah, I'm not. And I'm like, I got you.
Relaxed, believe it or not. I seem calm when I'm relaxed. I don't know why. I've always had that like vibe about me. It's usually when people are like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Actually, I'm in a great mood. What are you talking about?" I'm like bouncing off the walls and I walking around, twitching and shit. Got my leg doing that hopping thing. That means I'm like everything's cool. When I give off anxious energy is when I'm not thinking about anything.
No, this is okay. In the States, we call it resting bitch face. At my school, we call it dick lips. Which I love that. You are a duck, Cole. Okay.
What does that mean?
Water off a duck's back. Like things just pass you by. Calm above the water. Oh, calm above the water, but not so much below. That's a lot better. That's hey. See, that's why I've always people, you know what? I think I get it from my dad because my dad, if he was fine, I'd be like, hey, what's the matter? And he's like, nothing. I'm like, why do you have a face on? He's like, it's just my face. I was like, oh, well, there you go. And then Victoria's be like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you look angry. And I'm like, just watching TV. Just, I don't know. I don't know.
I think I have resting dumb face. Like where I'm just like I'm actually in like deep thought about stuff, trying to figure shit out, and everybody looks at me and they're like, "There's nothing going on upstairs, is there?" I'm like, "The fuck you."
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's true though. You do, because I've seen you contemplating stuff, and I'm like, it's like your face shut off, like your face just like boom. It's because the computer's working so hard. It's like we can't worry about the facial gestures. We have a problem to solve, you know?
I was born in 1994. I have been working off of 1994 Windows since.
Dino's amazingly viral peepaw.
You know why that's funny? Because this is the exact same person who is my Didi this week or this past week or two. But my Didi's husband was my peepaw.
In Greek, it's papu, but that's fine. That's the amazingly virile peepaw. I mean, probably.
What is
my dad had like 9 siblings.
What is virile?
Viral?
That's not viral.
It's virile.
Virile.
Is mean they still have sex.
Oh.
Or they're still spreading the tree. But okay. That's very possible. Like, yeah, so my dad had 13 siblings, 9 lived. 4 died early on. Because that was like,
that was the times, right?
Yeah. Like the people had 9 kids because they're like, yeah, I have fields to till. I need kids to do that, right?
Well, you actually had 13 kids because you knew you would get 9.
Also true. Yeah. Thank you, Dino's people. Yeah. But like that, it's the whole idea where like it's now become unfashionable to have lots of kids. Like I remember talking to one client.
Unfashionable, you just don't need them.
Yeah, but the thing is, man,
one, and he's a handful, and I don't know what I would do if I had more.
Okay, but Dino's absorbed the other children, and that's 100% accurate. Okay,
that makes sense.
That's yeah. I'm a Voltron of children. That would be accurate. Yesterday I hosted a show out in a neighboring city, and one of the guys, I was like, "Oh, nice to meet you." He's like, "You can introduce me as the tallest guy you've ever met." I'm like, "Why? How tall are you?" He's like, 5'4". I was like, "Oh, that's pretty funny." And sure enough, when I introduced him, he stood at like an area, like, because he was up these little stairs on a little platform, and he came down and he's ready to come to the thing. I look at him, I'm like, "Holy shit, you're so fucking small." Like, he's such a little guy. I was like, "Bro, I could grab you by the belt and just like lift you into the air with like just clean, just no problem."
Does Santa know that you escaped the factory?
He also had like hair down to his nipples, like, and it was like nice hair, and I was just like, I'm up here, Captain fucking Baldor, just like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, this makes me uncomfortable.
All the hair is in the middle. Like you got to get shorter and grow.
Well, I was making. Who was I talking with yesterday on Generation Dan? I was saying because Caleb was the guest and he had long hair now, but he doesn't really have any facial hair. He was like a goatee.
He looks so different now.
Yeah, he does. Well, he's growing up. He's becoming a man. He's like early mid-20s, right? So he's like the whole body is changing. But I told him, I'm like, for him, he's gonna like tie his hair down and turn into a beard, whereas I have to take the beard and turn it into a hairpiece. So it's not above fashion. That's fine.
I'll have you know, by the way, while y'all had y'all show on, there was like 3 different stints during your show where I wanted to make a Jew joke.
Oh yeah.
And for Caleb's benefit, I did not.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. It's about being able to afford kids. I read an article a few years back and they said that it's $1.5 million investment. Now there's inflation. Yeah, no, that's factual. But this is the thing is like, there was a time when you could have lots of kids and it was a manageable thing, right? Like I had 4 siblings and we were all fat fucks. Like we worked for a living, right? So even when I was like just working, Cole's Didi, y'all better be behaving. Oh, Jesus Christ. But they would turn around and it's like, yeah, like at the end of the day of working in a machine shop where that's man's work, right? I'm hitting steel, there's fire and chemicals and shit. I'm making things out of nothing, right? Like I take raw materials and I build machines. Like at the end of the day, we ate like fucking animals, right? And this is the thing is when puberty happened, it became stretch or starve where I'm like, bro, I just need more calories. And they're like, how are you eating so much? I'm like, I'm what do you want? Like within 2 years, I grew like 9 inches. And I'm like, that was just down below the waist. Forget about my height. That was ridiculous. But yeah,
it's the hair isn't long enough. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you're too tall.
I mean, yeah, it stops growing at like here. It's just at I've started to get like random. Okay, so because I'm now bald. Like I go into the winter and I'm like, my head is constantly freezing cold. And I'm like, fuck, right?
Wear a hat.
So I've been wearing a toque. The problem is that I also am having like what?
You said tunic?
A toque. What you're wearing right now is a toque.
This is a beanie.
It's a toque.
Or a knit cap.
Listen, learn English, you fucking.
Or a hat.
It's a toque. Okay?
It's not.
Yes, it is.
I've never heard that word.
A toque stops here. A balaclava covers your face and has holes for your.
That's called a ski mask.
No,
we
it's
only use those when we go into.
It's called a balaclava, you ignorant.
We don't even use them for skiing. I don't know that anybody ever uses a ski mask.
That's why it's called a balaclava. You're a horrible thing. It's a babushka. A babushka is a small Russian lady who has a scarf around her head.
I thought balaclava was that fucking Middle Eastern dessert.
That's baklava.
You said the same thing.
No, it's not. Anyways, the point is this: that I've had hairs on my eyebrows are growing too long. So when the toque goes on and it pushes down, like I get hairs like they come over from my eyebrow and like poke me in the eye. And I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, what's happening? I'm like, I feel like there's a hair, but it's not. It's my hair from my giant eyebrows. Yeah.
That is a you problem only. I've never heard of anybody ever saying that.
Because I'm an old person now. I have random hairs. I have hairs just sticking out of random parts of my ear. Horrible.
You're not even like what are you, 44? I guess that is the beginning of mid-40s. But that's like, that's 45 is the new 30.
I mean, well, for me, but like, remember,
I ticked that clock
on. How old? Yeah, I'm turning 45 this year. Cole's turning 31. So we have about 14 years difference.
Hey, hold up. Calm down. I haven't even really processed 30 yet, okay? Like, let's hold up on the 31.
It's not baklava, you bastard.
Baklava, I'm telling you.
Also, like, okay, so today, so the only news that I will actively go and watch is a news producer on YouTube called Democracy Now! And they are, it's very nonchalant. The host is an old woman, not pretty at all. Even when she was young, she was not pretty either. So she's all just like facts and information and just gives details, like old white people news. Like it's fantastic. And today she was interviewing people about the fire. And one person who's a climate change activist was like, the reason the fires were so bad in LA was because of climate change. And I'm like, I'm sorry, is what you're saying that the hippies in LA just haven't done enough for climate change and that's why they got hit by fire? And I'm like, oh, that's not, I don't think that's a good look for anybody.
Yeah, no, that doesn't even make any sense. California is the most active state for climate change. Like,
yeah,
get the fuck out of here.
Okay, but also like LA is the kind of place that's like, we're gonna have sex in sake of virginity. We're raising money for virginity, so we're fucking for it. And you're like, yeah, everything they do is backwards, right?
We're gonna have an OnlyFans event, special live event.
Yeah, to promote abstinence. You're like, what are you talking about? It doesn't. And that's why I get my eyebrows.
You know that shit would work though. You know it would work. Get Margot Robbie and Brad Pitt to do it.
I call my students dirty comedies when they shit like exactly. That's the problem is that kids today are like, yeah, communism. You're like, okay, have you ever read about communism? Like, yeah, it sounds awesome. You're like, okay, have you read about where things were communist? And they're like, I'm sure it was just propaganda how bad it was. And you're like, okay, why don't you talk to people who lived there? Because they've moved, they've left, their countries have changed. Just go talk to somebody who experienced it. They're like, I don't have to do that. I know the facts. And you're like, just talk to somebody who's experienced it. And then that person just fucking tears a strip off them. Right.
I have two things I want to say about that whole thing, Dino. One, I don't think it's the youth saying communism is good. That was more my generation. And I know because I was kind of lightweight one of those people until I was about 24. Yeah. The new generation, these new kids, this Gen Z for the most part, they all voted for Trump. You know what I mean? That's not a fucking communist by any stretch of the imagination. It took my generation to a lot of. I think the millennial men are split kind of down the middle. Yeah. I was left very, very communist, very even socialist in a lot of ways. Still kind of am socialist as far as like maybe healthcare and stuff like that. But I kind of jumped over to the other side. But this new youth, they're not communists at all. That's who my generation is, and we're 30 now. I think I'm like the youngest millennial. I think 95 and 96. I think that's the end of millennials. But also, I lost my other point. I had a whole other point, and I forgot it.
Welcome to your 30s, my friend. You forget what you were saying mid conversation, and then you're like, "I'm just filling in."
No, I got it. Okay, so no, the thing is, with every communist country, this is why I still am like kind of socialist.
Yeah.
Is I believe, because if you look back at history, every Gen Alpha, they're not even old enough for politics yet. That's my kid. My kid is like,
he says things like skibbity. You're like, that's
he
can't be in public.
I think 2011 is the oldest Gen Alpha.
Well, they're saying right now Gen Beta is being born because it's usually every 25 years, right? Like
Gen Beta gets born this year, I think. So Gen Alpha is 2011 to last year. So like the oldest one is what would be 14 at some point in this year. They're not old enough to even think about politics yet. But
they think they are. They think they know what they're talking about. I mean, it's hilarious.
Maybe they're freshmen and they're talking about it a little bit. They're probably taking economics, the oldest ones.
But they're being groomed. Like even
generation is about 15 years, give or take.
Right. Like that's
so maybe 2010 then, 2009, something like that.
Generation is 15 years. Is it? Okay.
Yeah, about 15 years, a decade and a half.
And then that's the thing is they're blurred lines. Like for you know words from Gen Z because you have a lot of younger siblings, right?
Right. And I'm at the end of the millennials, and then all my siblings are Gen Zs.
Yeah. So. Whereas for me, I'm at the end of Gen X, but I'm also like the youngest of 5 kids.
When were you born?
1980.
1980. That makes you a millennial, bro.
No, it's 81.
I swear to God, it makes you a millennial.
Let's Google it. That's what
Let's Google it because 65, I think, starts the Gen X.
Gen X.
But you are on the cusp either way.
Yeah, it's 1965 to 1980.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah.
We barely made it.
But that's but that's also the thing is that it's because of my like I'm the youngest of 5. So everything I was experiencing, like it's weird because my dad was the youngest of 9, kind of 13. And then I was the youngest of 5. So like he was generationally displaced because of his ranking in a family. And then I too was generationally. So it's like both of us were significantly displaced.
Right.
So
isn't that weird how you and I are so similar in a lot of ways, but we're like almost the exact opposite in a lot of generational things. Like you're a cusp Gen X millennial. Yeah. I'm a cusp millennial Gen Z. I'm the oldest. You're the youngest. Like,
thank you, Cole's DD. Dino is Gen X and his balls reach all the way to Gen Z. I mean, a little bit. Yeah,
you're getting there.
Bro, but this is the thing though, is like I find it interesting, Nick, that you would call your kids commies just specifically because so my generation kids, like the rebels were anarchists, and communism is just anarchy with bureaucracy. That's all it is, bullshit, right? And now people are like, I'm gonna fight the power and everything, and you're like, yeah, every generation has those, and you know what you end up doing? Just getting a job and shaving your fucking mohawk. That's just get over yourself, right? If you're gonna change something, you have to do it. Like you still have to. So a lot of people do this kind of stuff because they're like, yeah, man, I'm not doing nothing to the system. And you're like, yeah, but you still have to survive. And that's just
exactly the plot to SLC Punk. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
You have to watch the movie. You'll love it. It came out in the 90s.
What is it called?
SLC Punk. It's about some punks in Salt Lake City. It's got Shaggy in it. You know.
Oh yeah. I think I've seen stuff.
You would love that fucking movie, honestly. It's a little over the top, but it's exactly that plot of like we're gonna be punks. We finish college. Now what do? The only smart thing we can think of is waste our entire lives so we don't affect the economy, good or bad. That's the most anarchy thing to do. And over time, as they get a little bit older, 3-4 years go by, they're like,
you become everything you hate.
Like,
yeah, you become everything you hate, and
exactly.
This is why you're like, listen, it's having your principles and quote unquote fighting the system are not necessarily totally independent, but the fact is you have to make ends meet, right? So okay, Nick keeps on
Hilarious
getting
movie.
shit on. It's like, you're a terrible person, Nick. You got rid of the potato chip machines. You are bald. And then Lily Baker's like, getting rid of vending machines makes you a commune, Nick Tucker. Marco 77, so he's gonna be Gen X as well, but then he has like 37 children, so he's trying to stay youthful through them, which I totally get.
Vicariously, right?
I mean,
I had a point that I wanted to finish about communism. I think communism doesn't ever work because the first thing communist governments do is take guns away from their citizens. This is the first fucking, I swear to God, that's like the leading to communism. Communism would work if you could point your gun at your government and be like, everything's got to be fair or we're going to fuck you up.
See,
that's why our government mostly works.
This is the thing.
It sometimes works
here
in the U.S.
It stopped working now, right? But
it might go back. It has a chance. You know what I mean? Because we have guns. That's the only thing is guns make government work. That doesn't always make them work, but it's the only thing that makes them work.
It's not about just that though, because what's ended up happening is when you look, like, if you read the Communist Manifesto, I have a copy somewhere around here, and I'll tell you, like, you read it, you're
like a Karl Marx guy.
Oh, 100%, I look like a communist. Which I'm like, no, I know that all government is bullshit. There's every last one. You know why?
I know your prime minister up until recently was a Cuban, so
such a loser. He just, you know what the worst part is? Everything he opens his mouth, you're like, okay, well, bullshit is it this time. And then he says it, and you're like, I couldn't have even predicted that bullshit. It's so bullshit, you know? You're just like, it's like it's you know that meme where it's like, oh, I'm back with my bullshit. You're like, don't you come back here with your bullshit. And they're like, I'm coming back with my bullshit every time, this guy. And he's like, and the worst part is
a country version of California, but cold.
Hey, the worst thing is, so yesterday one of the comics went on stage and did a joke that actually, like, it was hilarious and like so well thought up. But he explained, he goes, listen, Trudeau is the first politician that we've ever had that did exactly what I was going to say. And the reason being was, to get into office, he said, I'm going to make weed legal, which he did. And the second thing he was saying that they were making fun of him for was, he goes, well, budgets balance themselves, which you're like, this guy doesn't know about money from his asshole. And the truth is, he didn't know money from his, he fucked up everything. And he's like, yeah, budgets balance themselves. That's fine. And you're like, he admitted he had no idea what he's doing when it comes to monetary policy and everything, but also legalize weed. So he did the two things that he said he was going to do. And you're like, damn it. Don't give me a reason to like the guy. Absolutely not.
Well,
Nick's like, I'm used to being, like, hold on, Nick, I'm used to being hated. It's like, this was the thing, is you can ask people to calm down, or when they get angry, you could just be like, good, let the hate fuel you. And you're like, that's the path to the dark side. I get you, Nick. I get you loud and clear, sir. Anyways,
and how much is a 1942 wheat penny worth?
What?
1942. You wouldn't care. It's a Canadian. You're a Canadian. 1942.
1942. What? Wheat penny?
Wheat penny.
Value. Between 5 cents and $12,000.
Okay, my luck might have just changed. You know.
All right, cool.
I had a nickel right there.
The value of 1942 wheat penny depends on the several factors, including its condition and type. Condition: a damaged coin will be worthless. Type: there were up to 3 different types of Lincoln pennies minted each year. For example, a 1942 S penny in high grade and red color can be worth around $9,500, while a brown or red penny can be worth $5 to $50. So you got to see if it's an S penny. That is the key.
Hey, yeah, there was like a shortage of copper in one of those years during World War II. So like they made a bunch of pennies out of something else, and now they're worth a bunch.
Yeah. Well, that's Anyways, this is the funny thing is, I remember. Oh, you said nickel. My bad. Nickel. That's actually a good funny joke. Anyways, the hilariously, I told you this story. We went to hey, what's happening, Serge? How you doing, brother? How's everyone's Monday going? Jesus, you know what? This is the topic for today was the specific idea about, like, when in doubt, be ridiculous. Just for the simple fact, and I based it on the idea of maintaining your sense of self in the most difficult of times is something that's really important, because like we've gone through this a few times with the whole idea where we're only in charge of how we react to things.
Right.
And that's a testament to our character. So when things, no worries, Nickel. Thanks for stopping by, brother. I really appreciate it. But like the idea is that during the most confusing and frustrating times and most conflicting situations, it's still a testament to our character. It's like when people, it's that whole idea when people are like, people are honest when they're drunk. You're like, yeah, I can believe what a drunk person says because that's when their guard is down and people just say what's on their mind. And you're like, oh, well, you finally get the truth out of some people. But that's why having established your character and who you're trying to be is a big deal. I think that's one of those things where being ridiculous and being a party to comedy is a huge component where you're like, yeah, I'm just trying to work through things. And you're like, you verbalize it and are able to experience it. But staying ridiculous, I think, is an important thing about just keeping your sanity in this day and age. But considering like at any point it feels like there could be a draft, right? Which is just crazy.
For all that shit.
You see, hey, this is the problem. Is any port in a storm, right? So it's like we just need more bodies. It's like, all right, well, you know what? Just expand the blanket. You're like, okay. The last time you can get drafted is in your.
I was a communist in my youth. Y'all fucked up. Y'all could have got me early.
Yeah.
Y'all could have got me early. Forced me to not be a communist. Instead, y'all let me grow up and get old. It's too late now. It's too fucking. Now I'm a capitalist. Get the fuck out of here.
Oh, bro. I love it when people are like, yeah, you want to fight the power until you have money. And then you're like, nope. I am perfectly content with this power. I don't want to give people anything.
I don't even have money. I got these 4 pennies right here. These 4 wheat pennies.
Hey, it's a start. You heard about that guy who turned a paperclip into a house, right?
He turned pennies into a house?
A paperclip into a house.
Paperclip. One paperclip or a bunch of paperclips?
One paperclip. So he kept on trading. He was using a bartering pole.
Yeah. I heard that.
And he did from one paperclip, ended up getting a house. And I was like, bro, yeah, he just kept on trading up and trading up. Oh, you need a paperclip? Well, you trade me. Okay, I'll trade you the paperclip for a pencil. Okay, fine. Pencil for a pen for this for this, and so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. But it's interesting. It's interesting that people can do that kind of stuff. AOC wanted to fight the power until she got to show up at galas and wear dresses that made her Latin ass pop. Bro, AOC was a poor bartender. Then she got elected. Her job pays her $170,000 a year. She's now worth $29 million in a matter of 4 years.
Yeah,
How is that
when
possible?
did she get elected? Like 2018? Maybe less than that?
2020.
2020? That was like the end of my like liberal ways too. I loved her when she was elected. Now
who didn't?
I see her, I just roll my eye. I'm like, this fucking bitch again.
Yeah. That's the wild part about it all is that everyone loved her because it was like, all right. She's like, no, you got to absolutely not. That's responsible for the people. And you're like, okay, all right. You're like, yeah, I'm on board with this. And then you're like, oh, she's also now worth $29 million. You're like, oh, it was like, it was the stripper that said she loved me. That's okay. My bad. I thought it was real. My bad.
I do think this of certain specific politicians, but I do think she had good intentions and meant that going in. And then, I mean, have you seen House of Cards, the show? Yeah, they buy you quick, and then if they don't buy you, you fucking turn up in Obama's front bush at the White House. You know what I mean? As it, you died mysteriously. I don't know. They just died.
Obama was a community organizer before he was a senator for 4 years, then president, and he's worth hundreds of millions. Yeah.
Obama was
Victoria isn't AOC from the block, not Jenny. That's wow. Well done, Victoria. Well done. But that's the real thing is you're going, hey, she got into power and do you remember the propaganda where she's like, they're coming for us. You're like, you're not even in this right building. You're like 3 blocks away. What is your problem? What are you talking about? It's like, I was afraid for my life. And
that's why I lost all my respect for her. I'm not even gonna lie. Cause like, I want to say I officially switched over from blue to red, like slapped a label on it, was willing to accept it and stop being so closeted about it, like this past year. But I think that right there, the insurrection, if you will, was like right when I was like
peak radicalization.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, that doesn't
Republicans show up anywhere without guns. Like they're gonna, it's an insurrection and nobody had a gun. Nobody shot anyone. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that's not.
This
whole thing is propaganda, and you're like, bro. And even the one guy who's like, "You guys should go in there." Yeah, bring it down. I can't go, but you guys should go. And you're like, I'm pretty sure that's literally entrapment. So okay. Heard anything about the drones? The drones lately? I mean, oh, you know what? Honestly,
Trump won't stop bringing them up, which I think is a good thing. But
I just love that people are like they're aliens in New Jersey. You're like, yeah, they're calling the people from New Jersey. That's fine. Yeah, and they're like, no, they're drones everywhere. You're like, in New Jersey.
They're really? Trying to find a fucking good capricola sandwich.
I mean, listen, somebody wanted a sandwich. No, sorry, a sandwich. And that's a sandwich.
A mozzarella on a pizza pie.
Bro, okay, Bernie Sanders has never had a private sector job and owns 3 homes. God bless America. See, this is, and you know what? Like,
Bernie Sanders driving like years. That dude is way too rich to talk about what he talks about constantly. Also too passionately. Too passionately. He was in Vermont, too. That's the other thing. There's nothing in Vermont. This is fake maple syrup.
This is the same thing. Sorry, let me go to this one. This is the same thing with regards to now where they're talking about Pierre Poilievre like he's the savior of Canada. I'm like, he's never had a job. He's a career politician. A politician is not a career. That is a public service job. And if anything, that is a burden that you take on because you're like, hey, I should give back, not profiteer from the government. Like that's not the whole thing is ridiculous, right? So that's what people don't understand. You're going, yeah, okay. If you've never had a secular job, what benefit are you don't know anything? What do you think about Trump buying Canada, Mexico? I'm all for it.
I don't think we're going to be able to buy Mexico. We might be able to buy Greenland, maybe Mexico, but Canada we're going to have to invade because although Canadians are going to be cool with it, the regular Canadian people are going to be cool. They're like, over there. You know what I mean? Like, but it's going to be the government not wanting to lose it. Okay, so like, let me put it like this, okay? East Cleveland is a little tiny town right next door to Cleveland, okay? And East Cleveland is one of the worst off ghettos in America, okay? I'm not even kidding, all right? That one, like, I think 1 in like 6 people have a car, and the roads, oh my God, never get fucking fixed. And when they do fix it, they fix 1 lane going one way and 1 lane going the other way, even though there's 3-lane roads. Like it's terrible. And it used to be the epitome of Cleveland. That's where you fucking live because like it was a gated community. Now it's just falling apart. In Cleveland and Cleveland Heights, which are the 2 cities that are adjacent to East Cleveland, have been trying to come together for over 10 years to either absorb all of it or absorb half of it. And one goes half to Cleveland, one goes half to Cleveland Heights. And East Cleveland, the fucking bureaucrats of that town, because they don't want to lose their jobs, they keep saying no, even though it's been nothing but fucking terrible for the people of East Cleveland.
Yeah.
That is exactly why we wouldn't be able to just take Canada, because I already can see in Canadian officials' eyes the dollar signs, or at least the negative dollar signs, if Canada becomes a state. And not only that, I don't think Canada is to our benefit to make Canada the 51st state so much as we break you guys up. Like Ontario would be its own state, Quebec would be its own state.
The other state, the other provinces would be their own
whatever
state.
The fucking other ones are.
Ottawa's a city, but I
whatever. I don't know. I just Saskatchewan. Because if y'all all become one state, y'all would have too high of a the delegate count, and that's how we keep getting fucked by California. So
no, it makes sense. That's one of the big things where, like, realistically, you have Ontario and Vancouver and now Alberta, where you're like, yeah, there's a huge amount of people there, but like that's one state. It's not, and,
Right.
and that
You guys would be like 51 through 54.
would be 51 to probably 50 to 63, right? Like that.
How many?
Yeah, we have like 13. Well, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories. So, but that's the thing is up north, you're like, yeah, there's barely anybody, but like there's still city. And also too, you would be buying Canada specifically for the raw materials. Like it's that simple. It has nothing to do with anything other than just raw materials. The fact that we have so much access to so much more is what would make things easier, right?
Yeah, dude. Do you know how much fucking cheaper wood would be if we didn't have to like pretend there's a border?
Yeah. I can't afford to buy Mexico, but I'd buy Dino's Peepaw Hog. What the fuck? Ohio sounds dreadful. Yeah, no, it's not. It's actually quite nice, but like this is the problem is under no circumstances is a city a good place anymore. Like that's the thing is even in the 80s and 90s, you're like, oh, you go to the city and then you leave the city. You don't like, oh, let's go hang out downtown for 4 days. You'll die. And when I remember having friends who live downtown and we're like, oh, we can go hang out. And then, we're going to go home to the suburbs where it's safe because downtown is crazy. Right. So, yeah, no, I'm down with becoming American.
I've never really been a downtown guy. Like, I think when I lived in Texas, where I met my baby mama, she kept trying to get me to take her to go downtown to Houston.
Yeah,
and I did a few times. We went to like a little sandwich shop, and then I think we went to a couple of concerts or whatever. Which I'm like, why the fuck do you want to go downtown so much? It's 45 minutes away for one.
Yeah.
There's nothing there we can't do here. There's movie theaters here. There's fucking walking around places. Why do you want to go downtown? And then we get up to Cleveland, and then she's trying to do the same shit. And I'm just like, no, Cleveland is way worse than Houston. I'm not going there. All right, Houston is one of the worst, like, sex trafficking, human trafficking places in the world. And I still don't want to go to Cleveland downtown. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, no, that's fair. I get it. Bro, I'd give it to you for free, DD. Jesus Christ. No, this is the problem is that, like, and I remember it's a trailer or a video from one of the Yellowstone runoffs.
Nick says Ohio sounds dreadful. And then it is. I live there too.
Well, that's the thing is there are nice areas, but then there's then you go to certain areas and you're like, oh, this isn't.
That's everywhere. Everywhere's like that.
But it's well, that's why I'm like, yeah, there's
the whole Europe,
any city you go to.
Asia, everywhere, Australia, everywhere is like that now.
Yes,
because we stopped we stopped scooping up the crazies and the vagrants and putting them places.
Seniors are hooking up here now, I guess. Yeah, I guess so, Nick. It's a little bit daunting, but
one person. It's one person.
I know it is, but still, they're finger blasting themselves, looking at their own picture. It's weird. It's just it's crazy. But no, this is why, like, as soon as you have a city that groups over more than 500 people, it cannot be self-regulating, and that's when you need bureaucracy and law enforcement and bullshit like that. And the problem is people have a taste of that power, and then they're like, oh, we need a homeowners association for our neighborhood. You're like, get the fuck out of here. I don't need any of that. Just immediately fuck off. Right? Because everyone's heard horror stories. And this is where, like, it's that idea where people are like, well, you have to. And I'm like, I don't have to do anything. And I'm like, I'll burn this street to the ground before I fucking obey you. How about that? Like, that was the one. We need Mounties, bro. Mounties are like, this is the thing is I remember going to party downtown and there would be cops on horseback all over like the club district. And like I remember once we were walking and every time I would go like at like 1:30, 2 o'clock when we'd be leaving a club, I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna go get some street meat. So I just go get a hot dog, right? Because I'm a fat piece of shit. And every time I remember once we were walking and then I was like ahead of the group because I was like making my way to try and get to the front of the line to get a hot dog. And then I grabbed all my friends and I was like, hold on, watch. And there's these guys fighting and the fight spills out into the middle of the street. But then a bunch of cops appear to break up the fight. And you see one cop make eye contact with one of the guys and he just takes out a baton and is like, and starts coming at the guy, and the guy just literally goes down to his knees and puts his hand on his head. He's like, "Fuck that! I'm not getting my shit kicked out of by a cop." And I was like, "Ah!" And I was like, "Wow, he's such a pussy!" And he's like, "Fuck you, man!" And I'm like, "Bitch ass." But that's the thing, is that's the kind of shit that would happen downtown. Like now, there's, even if you go, there was a whole controversy about in the UK how downtown London, the club district, there's CCTV everywhere, and it says police on the outside, and it's got a camera, multiple cameras facing different directions, and it's because, like, yeah, because shit went down, so now there's evidence, they're watching everything you do, and now in that area of Toronto, there's the same thing.
That brings up an interesting question. That brings up an interesting question. Okay, why does it seem like crime has gotten worse since the constant surveillance is a thing? Do you think it's always been a thing?
Yeah.
And it's just now being surveyed all the time? Or do you think there's something else that is making people fucking wild? It's the fact that we can't even, as
you're
kids,
saying,
go out and fucking get it out of our system. So it's fucking inside of us until we're 35. We're like, I gotta go steal a fucking thing from a gas station.
I mean, I really do believe that there's an element of that where it's like, yeah, people who are young are fucking retarded. I only say that because I remember being young and retarded, right? So it's like, yeah, but that's why, like, you can gas up young people and send them off to war, and like that's basically, they're like, yeah, they gave them drugs and sent them to World War II, and then they went fucking crazy, right? Like that's just how that goes. In my town, in the spring, people send their kids out to steal anything not bolted down. Can't even keep our bro. I would start shooting kids. Like there's no, like, if you came onto my lawn, I would start shooting kids, no question. Like I would have, like, that right there. Any kid I saw, I'd fucking crack them, no question. There's no point going downtown other than for some restaurants. Yeah, and even I tell this to Victoria, where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to go downtown at nighttime. That's not safe. And I'm like, and she's like, well, we'll be okay. I'm like, no, I'll be okay. But all I need is somebody to do the wrong thing, or what if they smack your ass? What am I going to do? Get my ass kicked by 12 guys? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to have to deal with that, because I'll fight. I'll be happy to go at it right then. But I'm like, I don't want to have to deal with that shit. So we go uptown.
I've had people. A story about my baby mama. We go ahead, finish this thing, and I'll tell you.
I've been up here, and I've had people eyeball me, and I'm like, what? And they're like, nothing. And I'm like, yeah, that's right, nothing. Don't fucking look at me.
There's some people who don't care how big you are, though.
Oh, I've seen it go. So like, I'm looking at you, and I'm like, you like what you see? Because I'll fuck you, brother. And he was just like, he's like, what did you say? I'm like, you heard me. I will fuck you right here in front of everybody if you want it. No? All right, keep on fucking moving, bro.
You're like, yeah. Andrew Schultz, I'll make love to you.
Yeah,
don't.
Yeah, don't. There was a guy at the show yesterday who was like, I trained in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and they're like, I see every man in here, and I'll tell you, I could take you down to the ground and give you a nice hug, and you'd love it. That's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And I'm like, bro, that's fucking, because he's a little guy too, eh? He's like, yeah, I take you down to the ground and then give you a nice hug, and you'd love it. And I'm like, that's super gay, but okay, yeah.
Very gay. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is gay.
People are more desperate, and mental health is worse. That's for absolutely sure.
Why? Why is that happening?
Because there's because the resources, like, I'll be honest with you, let's cause a little xenophobia. The resources are being taken that normally would be held over for people who are suffering and have mental health issues and need that kind of services, but all the money is being taken by other people who don't need the services, right? Where you have people who are using all these, they're taking advantage of the free access that these resources have, and that results in less services available. Like, look, I'll be honest with you. Today, we donated a bunch of stuff to our local hospital because they were so helpful with my in-laws. But like, we had an extra walker, and you're like, a walker is a big deal. Like, that can make the difference of somebody being able to be around their house and do stuff, and versus not being able to leave a chair,
Right.
And we just donated it because we're like, hey, you guys have been so helpful. We don't need this anymore. If you guys can find it useful, absolutely. And they were like, thank you so much. Like, that will change someone's life. You're like, that's a good deed. And we're like, we could have given a bunch of stuff to our local thrift shop. And even hilariously, I pulled up and I was like, yo, I have 15 bags of stuff. They're like, you have what? I'm like, 15 bags of stuff. I also have pairs of shoes that are in good condition as well. Like, it's all for a little guy, but still. And then they were like, hey, is this yours? Because it was like a 5-pound compressor, like the one that's about like the size of it's like 2 footballs length, like that big. And he goes, is that yours? I said, no. He goes, oh, we don't usually take that from people. And I'm like, I'll take it. I just put it in my car, and now I got it over there. I'm like, yeah, man, it's a nice compressor.
If somebody's like, do you need this? I'm like, I don't even know what it is, but yes.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out later.
My wife was like, oh, do we need that? I'm like, everybody needs a good compressor. What are you talking about? I'm like, we don't have a compressor. It's a great thing. I'm like, yeah, this is fantastic. Right. I have been told mental health help in London has a waiting list of 3 to 4 years. Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's not xenophobia, though. You know what else that is? That's like my entire generation and the generation after me.
Yeah.
And a little bit Gen X. Just saying, oh, I have autism, or I have ADHD, or I'm bipolar, and then they go and just fucking clog the fucking lanes for the people who are twitching and shit. Yeah. Like legit, the real shit has seen war and murder and like grew up in a fucking basement, you know. Like,
yeah. This is the problem. So it's okay. So society is more detached from reality than ever. Fresh air, good conversation with people you care about is important. COVID isolated a lot of people, and that might be the most. You know what? You're absolutely right, Nick. And that's the funny thing is like the old school stuff of, hey, go with your friends, go camping for the weekend, just have a bonfire in somebody's backyard, just hang out, order a pizza, have some drinks, play some video games, shoot the shit, talk about whatever, debate about politics or religion. Like having those kind of connections with people disappeared during the pandemic. Like
they were getting 5 years ago in 2 months.
Yeah, man.
When did y'all get shut down? We got shut down in like mid-March.
So I'll tell you this much. 2020, February 12th, I think it was.
So y'all are a month before us.
I had a headlining gig.
Oh, okay.
And I did that. I got paid for it, and that was like my first full-on headlining gig that I did. And it was awesome. I killed it for like 25 minutes. I did a ton of crowd work. It was fantastic. And within like a week, it was like something's going on. I had talked to another couple that we were close friends with. We're still close. They've separated, but we are so close friends with both of them. Anyway,
that a lot to people, separated people.
A lot of people.
How what happened to me? I feel like
we had. I was like, hey, do you guys want to go to the Bahamas? Because I'm like, I was dying to go on vacation. I was planning to go to Greece in 2020, and everything got shut down. And I was like, yo, let's go to the Bahamas. And they're like, no, we might get stuck there. I'm like, okay, we're stuck in paradise. Who gives a shit? Let's just fucking go. I'm like, just trust me, it'll be worth it. And we didn't go. And then 2 weeks later, everything shut down. So it was like February 20th, I think, that everything started to go down.
A couple weeks before us.
Yeah. But it was fucking like, and everyone's like, oh, I can't go anywhere. And I was like, bro, even my wife, like, we were wiping down groceries outside in the front. And I'm like, this is stupid. That's not how anything works. I'm like, I get it. I'm going to do it because I love my wife and I love my family. But I'm like, it was
a year-long process of me shedding my liberal like agenda. I gotta be honest with you. I remember.
I would put a pin in that. I would say it's the liberal agenda shedding you, because they were changing so fast that everyone's like, whoa.
Maybe.
I'm not for that.
Right wing now.
Yeah, well, I don't think you are. I think you're more of a centrist.
6 years ago standards, you know.
Right.
But like there was a point about a year in, like it was shortly before I broke up. Me and my baby mama broke up.
Yeah.
I was at like a Walmart, I think, and then I was just, you know, like, because I was already like, I was having panic attacks for a while. I told you about that for different reasons. I mean, some of that could have been that too, though. You know what I mean? Like the COVID shit. But like, I'm in a Walmart. I have the mask on, and I'm just like, I can't. Later, Serge, you have a good one, man. I'm like, I took the mask off in the middle of the Walmart. There's like 20 people in the whole store, and I'm just like, I don't think this shit's working anymore. Like loud as fuck. I don't think this shit. I think I said this shit ain't working or something like that. And then I walked around the whole Walmart with no mask on. Nobody said shit to me. I went to the self checkout, but after that, I was just like, I can't do it anymore.
It's because it doesn't make any sense. Okay, I love that Cole's idea of a young person sounds like a Muppet. That's also true. I have a camp here in Maine, hanging out with my buddies by the fire. It's just as good for my soul as it was 20 years ago. It can be understated how, 100%. Listen, doing like that was, I was reading about that where some guy was like, every month we do something on the weekend. So once a month, we're definitely going out for the weekend for an experience. That could be hiking or like skiing or toboggan, whatever it is, like random thing we're doing a month. But every quarter, we do a big thing, which is like overnight stay. And then once a year we go away for like a week long thing. And I was like, you know what? Like that's budgetary conscious, but also you're like, hey, what do you want to do for the activity this month? And you're like, okay, we can do that. We can go hiking for a day. We can do this. Like, oh, we're gonna go to a water park, or like there's something you can schedule. You're like, if it's one weekend, because I'm like, listen, life, you have responsibilities for life. You got to clean the house. You got to do this. There's chores. There's a million different things, right? So it's like you run out of people are so negative about having, they're like, I want to do something. You're like, you can just you just don't have to do stuff that costs money. You can just go out and do things, right? Like, hey, I went downtown and went for a walk. That's okay. It was the middle of the day. I went and saw what new stores down the street was going on. I went and parked and just started walking, right? And you're like, that way you have an accumulation of random experiences as opposed to, because people are too hyped up on all sorts of stuff. I was just leaving London Heathrow when we heard about some mysterious illness in China, which conveniently is happening again. I like that idea. Hey, what's up, Zane? Yeah, it's a cool idea. Like once a month is budgetary conscious, once a quarter to go away for a weekend, and then I think it was every 6 months or every year where they go away for 2 weeks. And you're like, that's a manageable experience, like that's a manageable level of things, right? Like, look, I came down and we packed in like 3 months worth of activities. That I like that idea. What? Why can't you just be enjoying that? I like that idea too.
It is a great idea. I have this much money at the end of every month. It's the same amount every month.
But that's the thing is you can still go do cool stuff. Like there are ways like I think about it this way is when I came down, when I came down, we packed like 3 months worth of activities into 4 days.
Yeah, but you got to figure that was right after I got my tax return, and I won that big ass fucking bet too. Right, I won that big ass $1,800 bet and got my tax return in like a matter of a week. I was at the exact opposite of where I am right now, where like I was riding high, bro. I wasn't even 30 yet.
Yeah, I remember. It was a good time.
Yeah,
even
good times.
I remember. So we were both. I was shit faced, and you were driving us around, and we went to. I forget where we went. It might have been Taco Bell or Burger. No, it was Burger King. It was late at night, and you're like, "All right, it's $17," and I just look at you. I'm like, "Okay," and I gave you money, and then afterward, you're like, I was like, "Hey, did you just assume I was going to pay?" And you're like, "No, you just paid." And I was like, oh, "Okay." And then you're like, "Fuck you, man." And then you send me money. I'm like, "That's unnecessary. You don't have to do that shit." You're like, "No, fuck you, bro. I paid for it." And I'm like, I didn't care. I have cash. I don't fucking. It was the funniest shit.
I was assuming you were going to pay for yourself is what I was trying to tell you.
Which is fine. If anything, the amount of driving. See, this is the thing. This happened with Kyle where like I picked him up from his house and drove somewhere. So as soon as we got there, he paid for parking. And I'm like, that's a fair exchange, right? Like you're letting me stay at your place and you're driving my ass around. Yeah, I'll pay for your food. That makes complete sense to me. Like that is a reasonable exchange, right? Like I also have to dance for my dinner. I'm like, yeah, that's I'm getting fucking free Freeman board and a fucking taxi. This is great, And then I almost saw you beat the shit out of somebody. You're like, man, this keeps on paying for itself. It's so much fun. Jesus loves you so much. Hey, Jesus loves you so much, Cody Andino. That's because we were cellmates.
I'm actually Cole for the record, but I appreciate it anyway.
Still, I'd love to see the amount of food you guys ordered. Oh, bro. Okay. The first time,
a normal amount of food. Vito orders 2 dinners and shares some of it with me after I already ate my dinner. And it was like, don't be a bitch. And then like an hour later is like, you want 2 more dinners?
Yeah. I'm the king of a bang bang where I'm like, oh, we have to have dinner after we have dinner. And you're like, you already had 2 dinners. I'm like, yeah, but I want 4 dinners. It's not, come on.
If for whatever reason the food is free, I eat a lot more, but
Sure.
I really don't like eating on other people's dime. It's more like when I go to like some kind of buffet or like barbecue or something like that, then I fucking pig out, or I'm at my home barbecue. But I try to be budget conscious or anything. Food is so expensive now. Is what it is.
It is. That's why, like, in all honesty, I'm tempted, if I can manage to come down soon, is we're gonna go grocery shopping and do like crazy amount of groceries. But I'm like, we'll fill up your fridge and make some wild shit. Also, I'm gonna have that corned beef again. It was so good. That's for real. I'm like, yeah, but I don't have a problem with it. Like
small corned beef. I was actually really upset how small that was.
I
Because usually when I buy corned beef, it's enough for like 2 or 3 days, you know.
Listen,
for a lot of people, by the way, too.
The first time I went to see Cole, after 3 days, like I just kept on ordering food. Like we would go out for food, bring back food, eat that food, and then I would be like, "Hey, let's Uber some more food." And I'd be like, "I just
didn't cook the first time too much."
No, not really. Well, like we did like breakfast and stuff, like nothing too crazy. But the second time we did a lot more cooking.
Were we not doing hammered and cheese yet? I don't think the first time.
I don't think we were.
I don't think we did. We were doing hammered and cheese yet.
But it resulted like by the 3rd day, Cole's like, I just can't eat anymore with you. Like, what's your problem? And I'm like, I'm on vacation. I'm like, you're just living here. I'm on vacation, right? So I'm indulgent. Because I was just like, you want to get tacos? And you're like, I don't want to eat anymore. Please stop it. And I was just like, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And that's the funny thing is I'm the biggest eater in my family too.
Okay, I'm a hypocrite because I'm a blimp and I put avocado crisis in the vending machine. Avocado crisis. Bro, who gives a shit? That's fine. Listen, you got to teach those young people good priorities. This is what I remember.
Don't be like me.
Yeah, don't be like me. Be yourselves. I was explaining this to Atlas. He teaches English, and one of the courses he was able to choose which books. And some of them were like 1984 or Brave New World, which like he couldn't do 1984, but he could do like Lord of the Flies and stuff like that. And I was telling him like what you should do.
1984 because he's in California and that's what's happening there.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. Same with the Brave New World. You're like, yeah, you can't do that there because they'll be on to us. So
farm animals or whatever, Animal Farm. Nothing
yeah.
George Orwell. Nothing Orwellian.
So I explained to him like what you should do is you could actually have them write a report trying to advocate for which book should be like the 4th one because you wanted to give them an option, right? So I was like, you should have debates, you should have all sorts of stuff where they should come to you with a decision as a classroom. And then as soon as they decide, you decide something else to explain to them that this isn't a democracy, you're going to do as you're fucking told. And that's the actual lesson. And he was like, "Oh, I'm a horrible human being." That's factual.
Don't be a dad with that fucking thought process. You're gonna fuck him up. You fuck up.
Listen, you know how in movies the main character, it goes back to how their dad was, and you're like, their dad was a psycho, but because of what their dad did, they're able to lead mankind forward. I'm like, that's me. I'm that dad. I'm that dad where I'm like, listen, son, you have to think 7 steps ahead of people. They'll say 2 steps. No, you need 7 steps. You need to be psychic. And I'm like, I'll ruin that child. That's fine. But they will be able to fucking.
There's this comedian. I don't remember his name, but he said that our dad, growing up, he scared the ever living shit out of us all the time. He would like come home and punch a hole in a door. He would like stomp on the coffee table. It was just at any given second, we had no idea what was going to happen. But little did I know later in life, he had plans to replace that door, and the legs were starting to come off that coffee table anyway. Things like that. He was only breaking shit that was already broken.
Yeah,
to make a point.
Yeah, that's right. Seriously though, how did you lose all the weight? Oh, so my big thing was fasting, and I'm still doing it.
Anorexia.
Yeah, essentially, I have eating disorder, and I brag about it. That's basically how it is. So you understand, Nick, is like right now, because we've had a whole big thing here, and now we're still. Now I have a junk person coming on Friday to collect a whole bunch of shit that's outside that we are cleaning the house out of stuff. And the result, is hopefully our schedule will calm down. But normally I don't eat from about Sunday until Thursday every week. And that like that way, and like I'm still working out and doing stuff, like not as much stuff, like I relax a lot of the time. But like I just drink water, coffee, and that kind of stuff. Like it's a brutal thing, but at the same time,
Do
yeah.
you eat all 3 meals from what, Friday or Thursday to Saturday, or
Even still, no, I'll try and do like a 4-hour window. Like today I smoked a joint during the day, so I ended up eating too much. Like I had some chips and shit, but
it's Monday.
it's Monday, so
You're not supposed to eat at all.
no. Well, we're
Eating is
still
too much, I thought.
well, no. So because today we're like I'm still moving some stuff around and everything. We're running errands. So if I have stuff to do, I will eat, but I'll usually eat just one meal a day. I'll eat my
Why
absolute
don't you have
fill.
shit to do? You're a
What?
grown man. Why don't you have shit to do?
'Cause I'm a loser.
I just want to hear you say it.
I focus my energy where it's most needed. So I try and work out every day.
Your energy is focused on not eating. That's what it is.
Yeah. So
No,
I focus my energy on working out once a day,
You have a rubber band?
not eating what no, nothing like that. I'll just, so if I get hungry, I start watching YouTube, like not mukbang, but like just eating competitions, and I love it. Like so, I watch 3 guys predominantly. So Notorious B.O.B., Brandon Clark, the garbage disposal. Both those guys I interviewed on another show, and I'd give Cole all the smooches. Jesus, Lily, oh my god. And then I also watch Beard Meets Food, who's hilarious. But like
vicariously is what you're saying. While you can't eat.
Kind of, because like this is the thing is like you've seen me in action. I'm like I can eat a lot, and like every time, so we would go, because Cole's not a small guy, right? He just has tiny little child hands, but like beside each, like I'm bigger than you, but like I'm also bigger framed than you. Like I'm a bigger person than you, right? So
we're the same size weight though, surprisingly.
Yeah, we're comparable, right?
I think we're about the same weight. Wait, what are you at, 270? I'm about 270.
Yeah, right now. But I got to cut, like I need to get down to like 230, 220, which I'm like, I don't know.
I've been needing to do that my whole fucking adulthood.
Yeah. So now I'm in that process where I'm trying to eat cleaner. And especially right now, like my goal for this summer is to be even smaller than I was last summer. So
you remember when we started Hammer and Cheese this season, we were like, we're gonna eat like healthy food, and we never did.
Dino is what we call a bruiser in Kentucky. See, I need to add, and you know what, Lily, I don't mean to put you on the spot for this, but like, what is giving that off? Because I've had people say that kind of stuff to me, and I'm like, I'm a gentle giant, but at the same time, like I'm a peaceful person. Like I choose to be peaceful, but at the same time, like I'm immediately raring to go. Like if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to go?" Like, absolutely. Right now. It's fine. I'm like, what are the rules? Can we have brass knuckles? What are we doing? Because I'm like, let's do it. You know, like.
Can you remember in Zombieland when they go into the grocery store and it's the big old redneck zombie?
Yeah,
that's a bruiser from Kentucky.
Oh. I don't think that was a compliment, Lily.
Got a pretty mouth. This is a big guy, bro.
I mean,
this is a big guy.
Yeah, like, well, that's the thing is too, like, weirdly, so it's funny because we're almost like, I'm a little taller than you, but like you have small hands, but I have larger hands than I should too. So it's like I feel like
you stole my hand.
I stole your hand, yeah. So it's like where your hands didn't grow into you, my body didn't grow into the rest of my hand. And I'm like, I think I could have been even taller. Dino's being modest, but he started 15 games at guard for the art. I wish. You know what? I remember in high school, I went. Our school didn't have a football team because we sucked, and we kept on pairing up. So if you wanted to go for the football team, they would pair up with another school, but that school also sucked. So I'm like, I don't want to go for a football team that fucking sucks. And then the last year, my senior year, they had linked up with a team that had won the state or the province a few times. So I was like, what's happening? I went, and the the coach is like, I can't take you. I'm like, why not? And he's like, because the applications closed last week. And I'm like, well, that's gay. And the thing is, like, other people on the field who were there were like, why is Dino here? They're like, oh shit, is he here to kick the shit out of somebody? And I'm like, why does everyone just assume I'm here to fight? They're like, because you fought us before. I'm like, no, I beat your ass before is what I did. So, and there was just like, and they're like, are you coming to be on our football team? I'm like, yeah. They're like, fuck yeah. And then the coach is like, I can't have, it's against the rules. I'm like, so break the rules. Who cares?
I've never like heard of that, because
everyone knows. Like,
I tried to join football in the middle of the season my sophomore year, and they were totally cool with letting me. It's just I did one practice. I was like, this isn't for me. Actually, never mind.
That's why I was like, oh, I'm down for football, because I'm like, yeah, that's fine, because that was at the same time I was squatting like 640 pounds. So like I was like, yeah, this is no problem. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. And it was all country guys.
I was told I was really good at it, but I just wasn't mean enough for football in Texas, no less. So.
Oh, I would see. This is the problem too. Is like I was never allowed access to that kind of field of battle, and I'm like, I honestly, because there's a lot of adrenaline that happens during a football game. Like, just for like fucking lunchtime football, where it was like touch, but it wasn't touch. I'm like, the amount of adrenaline that you would have to deal with after class, you're just like, yeah, I had a good lunch hour. Yeah, I also ate like 4 sandwiches and stole somebody else's lunch, because I was just like, oh my God, I need fucking calories, you know. But
they put me on safety, which is defense, and then they had me returning kicks. I'm like, I'm not even fucking fast, and I was inevitably on the ground every single time I returned a kick. Like instantly, I catch the ball, boom, I'm on the ground. I'm a safety, and it's my first time. Why are y'all making me do this? So after that, I was just like, nah, fuck this. I'm going back to basketball.
They even my school tried to have a rugby team, and I was like, fuck yeah. And they're like, listen, you can't punch people. And I'm like, nobody's going to see me. And they're like, no, you're not supposed to punch people. I'm like, I didn't punch anybody. Like 3 people said you punched this guy. And I'm like, were they on the other team? I think they were lying.
You can stiff arm them though, right?
No, you can fucking punch him in the face. It's rugby. You're like, bro, just like right. And if you're in this
against the rules,
where everyone is like in it, where they're all like crowded and pushing and stuff, in there, bro.
It drives me crazy that you don't do sports. Like, you're not a sports person because you have the frame for it, but you're like, yeah, I could totally punch somebody. No, you can't.
Yes,
you can't.
In rugby, you can.
In no sport can you punch anybody. Hey, hockey, they kind of let you do it, but you still get in trouble.
If no one sees
in trouble as any other sport.
If no one sees you, everything is legal. Okay.
The referees are watching the whole fucking thing.
I was in a scrum and I thumbed a guy right in the eye. Just boop. And he's like, my eye, and I'm like, bitch ass. Just, yeah. You were the kind of guy I cower from as a principal. I picture you driving a Chevy S10 pickup to school, blasting Incubus. I mean, you're not wrong, Nick, but I actually had it.
Wish you were here.
I don't know about that. I would actually play fucking Backstreet Boys because I was a loser. But like, I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, and I would just pull up, and people were like, "Fuck," and I'm like, "Yeah, what's up?" And they're just like, "Oh, we're not fucking with you." I'm like, "Go for it." I'm like, "I'd love to." And back then, too, I was still even at my brother's funeral, we reconnected with a high school friend of ours, and we were talking. He's like, "Bro," he goes, "You were terrifying in high school." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Bro, you were 300 pounds and you were solid." I'm like, "Wow, I was fat." He's like, "No, you weren't." He goes, "You were terrifying." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, buddy. I appreciate that." But like, there were times I had grabbed guys by the face, just like, right, I witnessed many Donnybrook at Leafs games in the day. I don't know what that means.
You don't know what a Donnybrook is?
No.
That's some Irish shit. Okay, so Donnybrook is when a fight breaks out amongst several easily 12 people, and in order for it to be called a Donnybrook, somebody has to lose a body part, like a finger, eye. This is some Irish shit. I know it because of my baby mama and all that. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's some fucking Donnybrook is no fucking joke. It's actually a coined term by the cops. They're like, "There's a Donnybrook at the bar. Like, come on, let's go.
Someone's getting really hurt. Like everyone's getting hurt, but somebody got really hurt.
Yeah, there's at least one person loses a body part. So
I would yeah, no, that's like there was times I remember like young people that I was in, like I knew everybody in every grade because I made a point of knowing who people were because I was crazy that way. And if I was in a class with you, I would make sure to have a conversation of if there were a dude. If it was a girl, I never went close to girls. I was just like, no, I don't deal with women.
I don't talk to y'all.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, you don't have an opinion. That's you're meant just for display. It's not for. I'm not here to talk to you. That's disgusting.
All I did was talk to girls.
There were guys who were like, "What, you want a piece?" And I would just go pop and just palm their face and be like, "Anytime, just anytime you want to go." And they're like, "You think you can?" I'm like, "I know I can. You don't want none of this." And one guy, I remember, he was big. He was big like I was, and I was like, "He's pretty tough." And my brother's like, "You could drop in a second." I'm like, "Of course I can." He's like, "Then do it." And I just boom, 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 and dropped the kid to the ground. And he was like, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh, I fight dirty, so it's not. Yeah, I'll stab you. You're with my finger. Just blick. It's not.
It's so crazy that you fight dirty.
I fight so dirty.
I don't fight dirty. It's the funny thing.
That's the thing is when you suggest it and you
like
say you aren't ridiculous. I am ridiculous, but I'm ridiculous in a different way. I'm ridiculous like the person where I'm like, "Oh, you thought that was funny? Oh, watch this. I'm gonna light you on fire." And you're like, "I think it's hilarious," but sports used to be cool and brutal, very. And then Dale Earnhardt died, and it's all about safety. Bring back gladiator death fights. Well, this was the thing, right? Is that I was talking about this with last night. I was like, I feel that we are so close to bringing back trial by combat. And then I'm like, if we have trial by combat, then you should be able to enlist the services of a champion. And then I'm like, I think I would go one further. And I'm like, you could hire me, but I have to fight like 7 midgets. Like that's the other champion. And I'm like, if we're gonna go full circus, let's go full circus, right?
I don't think as long as we have female leaders, female politicians, we're gonna have trial by combat. I don't think that's gonna be a thing.
Hey, we're gonna end it on this note, everyone. That's why, in our opinion, women shouldn't have the vote. That's it. And a lot of men, women and men. There's a lot of people.
Bitches is not just for women. That's not a term just for women.
No, absolutely. There are very educated women that are integral to our society proliferating and becoming what it needs to be. But however, pussy ass bitches do not deserve a vote. That's men, women, children. Come on. There's a whole bunch of them. There are some dogs that I would be happy to give an office to, but not. You're not going to give one to a cat. That's ridiculous.
There is a cat who's mayor in Alaska somewhere. I heard
that cat is on the take. That cat is on the take. Okay, a dog would be loyal to his city. A cat would immediately be causing problems. Okay, that's just science. I believe death by firing squad is still legal in a few states. I mean, God willing, right?
In Texas, if they don't do it anymore, but in Texas, it's still written in the law that if you cattle wrestle, it's still a hangable offense. You know what cattle wrestling is, where you steal somebody's cows.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, cows or horses or whatever. They're animals. Yeah. They're farm livestock.
All right, cat is on the take, 100%. There's no way a cat's doing legal business. Cat is immediately doing the shenanigans. There's no question.
100%.
Yeah. Anyways, everyone, please make sure you like and subscribe. We've been talking the shit out of this subject, so we're going to be back on Thursday. Do you know what we're talking about on Thursday?
No, I haven't been. My fucking mind and heart hasn't been in it this week. I'm sorry, Dino.
No.
I'm working on it though.
You've had real life to deal with, which is significantly worse than this. So that's reasonable. I'll think of something, but please make sure you like, subscribe, guys. We'll update you on Thursday morning as to what's going on. Good night to everyone except Nick Tucker.
Laird Nick, Laird Lily, Victoria.
See you, everyone. Have a great night.
Paul, everybody.
And Cole's Dee Dee. Have a good night.